to take my word for anything. Just read the documents.
22-year-old James Dennis shied away from cameras tonight as he was being led away with other prisoners to jail. He had shown no emotion when the jury sentenced him to death after little more than an hour and a half of deliberations.
That was a news report from way back in 1991. And it's the story of many people we know that grow up in our community, that grow up in our environment. People were being falsely accused, wrongfully convicted of crimes that they did not commit. Mm-hmm. And perhaps they didn't have the resources to properly fight
100%
for their freedom.
Right.
You know, and then also there's a justice system that needs a makeover. Mm-hmm. It definitely needs reform, and has ever since it was from the first days of its inception. And so we see these stories play out, and they get to the point where it just become normalized to us. And we hear about folks who have spent time in prison and they were wrongfully convicted. And no matter what, just because you're in prison, there's always some type of prejudice against you. It's almost like you got to prove you're innocent.
Right.
When in this country, you're innocent
until proven
guilty. The voice you heard on that clip is with us right now. By the grace of God, Jimmy Dennis is with us. This man was convicted of the gruesome murder of Chedell Williams. There was no physical evidence, DNA, or weapon. This man was 21 years of age when he was convicted, a week before his daughter was born.
Oh, my God.
2017, after 25 years in prison, he was finally exonerated. But the fight didn't stop there. Jimmy Dennis is joining us right now with the Innocence Project, and he's not alone, but give him a big round of applause, citizens. Big round of applause. Jimmy Dennis is here.
Thank you for having me, Sway. Thank you for having me, Other B, Tracy G.
Yes.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me.
We're happy to have you here. God
bless
you.
Jimmy Dennis is here, yo.
Wow.
What the fuck?
And glowing. And tell me God ain't real. He said when he walked in, he said this was a bucket list. This was a checklist thing. And so... Amen.
Hey, how about from death row to the front row?
From the death row to the front row.
That was the bar.
It's a complete pleasure to meet all of y'all. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I was on death row for 25.5 years, this was on the checklist. I was watching every single thing you was doing, man, and I was proud of you. I'm happy to sit here right now and tell you that I was proud of you.
Amen.
All the moves you made.
You
getting
brother.
into the radio, broadcasting, Hall of Fame. I seen you.
You saw me?
I
You saw me, Jimmy?
Come on, Jimmy.
I seen you. Listen to me. Listen to me. I root for my people. So when every single person climbs a ladder, you don't know it, but I'm cheering you on.
Amen.
I'm rocking with y'all like that.
Amen.
Y'all been doing this since 2011.
Yes.
It's an honor to be here. And when I say I had a list, I had a list. You was on the list. Jason was on the list. You know what I mean? I got a list.
You got a list, and you've been checking off that list.
And I'm checking off that list. Believe me when I tell you.
Yes.
Jason Flom is here. This guy is an angel walking. He don't even know it. He won't call himself that. He just saw things that needed to be done and got to it. Heather, you see that blazer? He really from the music business.
Yeah.
That's what we first know.
I see the glasses. I recognize the specs. I'm like, that's the true sign.
That's a music exec blazer that he has on, you know. And this man had his Lava Records platform. Many people like Kid Rock, Katy Perry, Matchbox 20.
I love it.
Okay.
Lord.
A lot of artists he worked with. Those are just a few of the successful ones that he's worked with. But at some point in his life, he decided to dedicate and commit his life to stories like this one, Jimmy Dennis, people who are wrongfully convicted. He created a podcast, Wrongful Conviction Podcast. Let me see that. You see the T-shirt right there? Wrongful Conviction Podcast. And in this podcast, it's probably one of the most powerful podcasts you're ever going to tune into, because it's real life stories. You hear true voices of people who are typically voiceless, and when they do speak, people put stigma on them. They don't hear them all the way through. His podcast has allowed a lot of stories to be told. Between the work that they've all done with Wrongful Conviction and the Innocence Project, over 200 different folks they helped get out of jail, right?
Yep.
That equates to about 3,600 hours of jail time. Years?
Mm-hmm. We were just at the Innocence Network conference in Phoenix.
Get up on that mic.
Oh, yeah. So last weekend was at the Innocence Network conference in Phoenix, Arizona. In one building, we had people who served a total of 6,030 years of time for crimes they didn't commit. A lot of them were serving time for crimes that didn't even happen, but that's another story. But 6,030 years. Imagine 6,030 minutes in one of these cells where Jimmy was at, or where any of these people at. It's incredible. And the most incredible thing to me is the people themselves, or are the people themselves. The ones that Jimmy Dennis, he's not the only one, but he's a special dude. But every single one of these people that has been to hell and back and come out carrying buckets of water for the ones they left behind.
Wow.
I'm here to serve them. That's my calling. I'm not a religious guy, but that's my calling. And so I'm lucky I found it, and I'm lucky, like I said to one of the guys, Jimmy Gardner, when we were there, I said, Jimmy, I'm the luckiest guy. I get to be a member of a club that has the best members in the world, and I didn't have to go through the initiation.
Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah, you definitely did. Jason Flom, man, give that man a round of applause.
Indeed.
Named Music Visionary of the Year, Heather B. I got a list of accolades this man has received. Okay,
some of them.
Music Visionary of the Year in 2000. Yes. He received the Torch of Liberty Award from the American Civil Liberties Union in 1999. 2005, Jason received the T.J. Martell Foundation and Humanitarian Award.
Nice.
2008, Jason was honored as a partner in the pursuit of justice by the Bronx Defenders and was awarded with the City of Hope's Ambassador Award. 2014, he was the recipient of the Spirit of Life Award by Russell Simmons, Rush Philanthropic Arts Foundation in 2014. 2018, Jason received the Frederick Douglass Human Rights Award from the Southern Center for Human Rights, the Sentinel of Freedom Award from the Foundation of Criminal Justice, and the After Now Service Award from the NYU Prison Education Program. The list goes on, man. The list goes on, and I want to give you your flowers, Jason.
Yes.
Okay?
He's the real deal.
Jason,
real article.
Jason and I, Jimmy, and then I want to talk about your story. First of all, Lorenzo says hi, fellas.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Affectionately known as Zoe in the neighborhood. But Lorenzo, so Lorenzo is, when y'all hear me talking about the restaurant I go to all the time, the Row.
Yes.
Harlem.
In Harlem.
Yes, indeed.
And I met Lorenzo and a lot of the fellas there who were wrongfully convicted of crimes they did not commit, crimes that didn't happen. And these gentlemen have started a business up in Harlem, and I go to patronize that business all the time. I took one of our highest execs, Steve Blatter, to the Row.
Nice.
Made him sit in Harlem and have some.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Steve Blatter was like, he had a good time. Zoe and them showed him a good time. So I wanted to say, Lorenzo wanted to say hi to both of you guys.
Lorenzo Johnson. Shout out to Lorenzo Johnson.
That's my man right there. We had a wonderful time last night at the Harlem Row.
Yeah.
Everybody should go down to the Harlem Row. It's a wonderful restaurant. The ambiance was crazy. I loved it.
Yeah, man. I was supposed to come last night. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk about your story. And citizens, we open up the phone lines, 888-742-3345. This what happened to you is a tragedy that happens to a lot of folks in our community.
Right.
You know, it's happened since folks were brought over to this country.
Yes.
Right. And you said something really interesting back in the early 90s when you were convicted of this crime, this murder that you did not commit. You said they stole you away from your family.
Yes.
Break that down.
So, they stole me away from my family and friends. So what they did was any black man to do. That's exactly what they did. So let me break down the physical description. They said the physical description of the perpetrator was dark-skinned complexion like Wesley Snipes or Miles Davis, right? You sit before me, you see I'm brown-skinned. They said the person was 5'10" to 10 foot tall. I'm 5'4". They said the person was 180 to 200 pounds. I weighed a diminutive 125 pounds at the time. So any black man will do. That's what they did.
A body for a body.
A body for a body.
So, and the two police detectives, Jaskrimsky and Santiago, has since been arrested on August 13, 2021. Every single thing that I'm going to tell y'all today, y'all could go Google. It's factual, right? We come up here uncut and raw. This is what I do. They've been indicted by a grand jury for lying. The only reason they wasn't charged for more crimes is because the statute of limitations ran out. But the same way we are eliminating the statute of limitations for everything else, we need to do it for corrupt police officers.
There you go.
They need to serve the same time that I did, 25.5 years, that destroyed my father. When my father found out that I was going to trial, he had a stroke. He never recovered.
Oh, my gosh.
My mom's health deteriorated, right? My daughters, they are a shell of themselves. right? And when I say that, I don't say that lightly, right? They have went through mental issues, right? From what I've been through. So when I say they destroyed my family, they literally decimated my family and my friends, right? And I suffer from PTSD. I'm in therapy every week. You know, the scars that I went through, and you got to understand, everybody in New York knows the Khalif Browder story, right? My story is just like his. Every single person in prison wanted me dead. I lost 30% of my hair when I was in there from being attacked.
Because they thought you
Right.
actually killed this woman, right?
Right,
Wow.
right. So the
Chedell
guards and the
Ray
prisoners,
Williams. Yeah.
so the guards and the prisoners were all coming at me each and every day. It don't matter what prison I went to, I had to start all over and earn my respect. I
Wow.
wasn't taking it. I'm sitting here because I fought back. That's who I am. But I lost 30% of my hair. Teeth got knocked out of my mouth. You know what I'm saying to you? I got physical scars on me. So I had to survive all that, right? To be sitting here with you today. I made it up in my mind that nothing was going to stop me from getting back to my mother and my 2 daughters and my family and my friends.
You never you did 25 years.
25.5 years.
25.5 years. There was never a breaking point in that duration of time where you felt like, man, I can't do this.
Listen, man, when I first got locked up, right? There was a day I was going to commit suicide, and I was going to write innocent on the wall in blood, turn out the lights, and just go, right? But before that happened, this guard named Mr. Welly walked up to me, and he said, we got to lock the block down. And he looked at me, and he said, the dude just killed himself. And then he looked at me, and it was like God was speaking to him through me, and he said, no matter what hand you dealt in life, you got to play it out. And I went in the cell, I put the towel up to the window, put my face in the pillow, and I cried, right? And I flushed the razor down the toilet, and I didn't do it. From that moment on, I conditioned my body and everything to deal with the punishment that I was taking in prison, you know what I mean? You know, fighting wise, because I put on another 25 pounds and I tried to bulk up a little bit, you know, and then I went and I just started devouring and studying the law. Every single cell I was in, I turned it into a library. I ain't do nothing they told me to do. I ain't eat when they told me to eat. I ain't sleep when they told me to sleep. I ain't do none of that, right? I shut all that down. Wasn't going to shower, wasn't going to the library, wasn't going to yard, right? Then the guard came up to me. He's like, why you ain't going to the yard doing stuff like you used to? I said, I don't belong here. You're not going to treat me like you know that I belong here, right? The guard went downstairs. He said, I'm going to let you get a shower. So he popped the cell and he let me out to the shower by myself. And none of the prisoners said anything. And you know, this is a situation where people will balk at, but everybody knew I was innocent. That's why when you read the August 21st, 2013 legal opinion by the Honorable Judge Brody, one of the most powerful judges in this country that handled the NFL, CTE, and for the people to get their benefits, the first paragraph she wrote was James A. Dennis was wrongfully convicted for a crime that he did not commit. That paragraph meant the world to me, right? But on that day when it came out, I thought about every single person that had tried to kill me up in there. And then I thought about my family and friends and how they felt. And on that day, all the death row prisoners was kicking the door, yelling and everything, because they was happy, because everybody knew.
They knew.
It wasn't no secret.
Don't forget, Jimmy survived 2 death warrants, right? Twice they came to his cell, and we talked about this on my podcast, Wrongful Conviction, when we recorded it several years ago. But twice they asked him where he wanted his body to be taken after they killed him, you know. So he had to survive that. And let us also not forget, there's another guy I had on my show, Tony Wright, and I'll never forget there was an article about his case. He also did 25 years in Philadelphia, wrongfully convicted around the same time as Jimmy. And in this article, there was a pull quote that said, in the 90s, in Philadelphia, in the 90s, a black man had a better chance of getting justice in Philadelphia, Mississippi, than they did in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And that's
true.
Me. It'll always stick with me.
And that's true. And in that same Anthony Wright article, they had me in there, mention me in that article. You know, and I've since been in Rolling Stone twice as the featured story, right? But this criminal justice system is tragically broken. Even what the city of Philadelphia is still doing to me now is a tragedy.
Well, speak to that. So you're trying to be, you're suing them, right? For wrongful conviction.
Yeah, I started suing them for wrongful conviction in 2017. And on November 23rd, 2021, the Third Circuit ruled in a unanimous decision that Detective Jaskrimsky in Santiago did not have a constitutional right to frame me. I want the people to understand the most ridiculous argument, right? They said, yes, we framed him, but so what? We should get immunity, right? So we've been talking about immunity in this country, right, for several years, dealing with police shootings, so on and so forth, right? I just proved that they don't have immunity, okay? They have partial immunity. I have their hand in a cookie jar, right? So that's the difference. Sometimes we know that they murdered Sandra Bland. We know that they killed Sean Bell, but you have to be able to prove these things in court and articulate the argument properly, right? Every single thing they did to me in terms of destroying evidence to prove my innocence, destroying clothes, lying about it, DNA evidence, so on and so forth, we had their hand in the cookie jar, right? And so that's why when you punch the legal opinion up, it says that it's the legal standard in the country now, right? Because that's the legal standard in the country. It says precedence in the right-hand corner as soon as you punch it up.
We got Jason Flom is here. Jimmy Dennis is here. Jason, give out your social so people want to follow you and follow the podcast you do.
The podcast is Wrongful Conviction. It's available on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to your podcast. Amazon. Anywhere. Yeah, so just go to
Pandora. That's our company, man.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
Shout out to Pandora.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Shout
out
out Pandora.
Yeah, in fact, we're with Stitcher, so we're right in the building, you know.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for saving me on that one.
I got you.
And, about to get some nasty phone calls.
I'm here for you, Jay. I'm here for you.
I need you. Where you been all my life? So, and my socials, I post about this stuff all the time because it's such a huge part of my life. And my socials are at It's Jason Flom, ITS Jason, JSONFLOM, Instagram and TikTok. And there was another Jason Flom who got my handle before I did. I ended up connecting with him. He's a school teacher in Tallahassee. He said, nice. "Oh, you're the reason why people keep sending me their music." I'm like, "All right, whatever." I'm like, "Thanks for teaching school, buddy. Nice to meet you." So so that's my alter ego down there. But yeah, it's Jason Flom. ITS Jason Flom is my socials, and the podcast is Wrongful Conviction. Please listen because there's things on there you need to hear, you need to know. We're there to help pull people out that are in the system, and I'm proud to say that the podcast has played an important role in helping to free a number of people. Ronnie Long, Lamont McIntyre, Vincent Simmons, who came home 2 months ago after 44 years and 9 months. He went to prison in 1977, May 23rd, 1977.
Wrongfully convicted.
A crime that never happened. They lied on him is all that happened. So he just came home, and his lawyer, I spoke to him as soon as he came out. I FaceTimed with him. He was having his first meal free. And, his lawyer gave a lot of credit to the podcast and the work that we do because we get under the hood. And I'm really, really proud to say that it's also inspired politicians in Washington State, Indiana, and Illinois to propose legislation that's been signed into law to make the system fairer and better for everyone. So, but on the podcast, I'm telling people, and I would love to tell your audience right now, important things, and even on my TikTok that you need to know, like don't waive your Miranda rights. Never, never, never waive your Miranda rights. If you get picked up and brought into the police station for any reason, shut the fuck up.
Don't say anything.
You say your name, I'm Sway, and I want a lawyer. That's it, right? And then stop talking until your lawyer gets there, because nothing you can say can help you, and everything you say can hurt you. So, and innocent people waive their Miranda rights all the time.
They waive their rights, so never waive your Miranda rights.
Don't do it.
And also, if you tell the truth, all they're going to do is go out, and try to bury the truth, because that's what Detective Jaskrimsky in Santiago did to me. So what Jason is saying is paramount.
Okay. Jimmy Dennis, do you have social?
Yeah, everybody can follow me on Jimmy Dennis Music. Everybody can follow Jimmy Dennis Facebook group, and everybody can follow me on my website, jimmydennis.net, jimmydennismusic.net. Yeah. I'm
gonna let the rest of the team jump in. Now that you're free, because I hear your story, and I love hearing you tell a story. What is your purpose in life now?
My purpose, listen, one of the things that was paramount to me was that most innocent people come home and they don't live out their dreams. They have to change the course of the direction that they went into. So what I wanted to be when I was a kid and what was going on with me before I was stolen away was people was interested in me musically. So I came home and I wanted to change the narrative. So being an R&B artist is my thing. So when you Google me, you know what I mean, I changed the narrative. When you look me up, it says R&B artist.
It does.
Not
when I
many
looked you
people,
up, that's the first thing you see.
Not many people can say that. I've been in the top publications, Rolling Stone, Philadelphia Magazine's feature story, LAD Bible, and all these other publications, and my music is getting respected. I don't have a hit record yet, but hey, listen, I'm doing my thing, and I'm going to keep doing my thing. And I also going to champion other innocent people with my man Jason, and we've done work together. And I've helped get an innocent man off of death row in 2019. I was very proud of that.
Wow.
I went on Jason's show, and I spoke up about an innocent man. He had nobody speaking up for him and his family. And Willie VC came home in 2019, and he, you know, doing well, and his family doing well. And then I helped get his brother out of jail for a parole violation. So I'm not playing with him.
You're not playing? Hey,
I'm not playing with him.
You ever have one of your songs played on radio?
No, I have not.
Oh, man. Well, hey, listen, man. Let's make the dreams come true
Yes.
this
Come
morning.
on with it.
Let's do that, man. Let's get this fucking
Check it off the list.
Check it off that list.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
We got 2 songs. What you got, Altone? Which one you want to hear?
All you done went and did it. All you went and
All
did
you
it.
done went and did it.
All you went and did it. That is my ode to beautiful black women and women everywhere.
There you
Okay.
go. This is
indeed.
Jimmy Dennis, first time heard on the radio right here on
Wow.
Sway in the Morning with Heather B and Tracy G.
Cheers.
Oh, wow.
We'll take your calls.
I did not expect this.
888-742-3345. Baby. Girl, you done did it now. You done opened the door to love. Sway in the Morning, Shade 45.
Shady 45.
Jimmy Dennis. Yeah. I like that, bro.
Appreciate that, man.
I'm
That
not
mean
even
the world
gassing
coming
you.
for you.
I would have
know.
told you it was whack. I
I know,
don't
you
care if
done
you did
told me it was
25
whack.
years.
You would have told me. I already know. You would
25.5, I still would have told you.
Get out of here with that bull crap.
Not that harsh. Not that harsh.
I've been waiting to say that. Look, I'm going to take a couple quick calls. We got Greg on the line. Greg, I got to take your call. Rise and shine. How
What
you
up,
doing?
G?
Yo. Greg.
Hello?
Greg, you there?
Yeah,
Go for it, man. Say what up to Jimmy and Jason.
Jimmy and Jason, what's going on?
How you doing, brother?
Great, good to meet you.
Hey, Jimmy, you know what this is?
It's my brother. I love you, brother. It's my actual
Hey,
brother,
so
Greg.
real
Yeah.
quick, I gotta go quick because I gotta run into a meeting. So I just want to say, you know, I gotta thank Jimmy. You know, Jimmy said something earlier, you know, about, you know, he stayed around for his family, and you know that's powerful, considering everything he went through. I mean that thing, you know, the day that Jimmy got locked up is a day that you know a lot of us will never forget. You know, to get that phone call early in the morning, and you know I'm about to get on the bus and go to a game, and I get that phone call, and my whole head was going from there. And the other part was, you know, I was at the house when the cops came and picked up whatever they said they took out the house, and everything they said they took out of the house was a lie. And you know the funny thing about it is when we got to court, the stuff all of a sudden got missing out of the evidence room.
It disappeared.
And
It disappeared, and then they lied about it in 2005.
Yeah, the only time something disappears out of evidence room is the cops want it to disappear. You know, you see dope get missing out of there. They want that to disappear because they're going to use that for themselves. But for those things, in order to convict him, they had to make it stick. And, you know, tearing apart a family, you know, a black family, you know, that's what a lot of us feel the system is geared to do, is tear down black families. It's sad to say, but, you know, somebody made a comment earlier about people not having the resources to fight for their life.
Yeah.
Damn, if you ain't got the resources to fight for your life in this world.
You spent 25.5 years on death row.
Yeah, I say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I look at, you know, Philadelphia, grew up in Philly. You know, Philly was home. you know. But when I look at what some of the people of Philadelphia tried to do to my family, you know, it's a hurt piece.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I know Mayor Kenny. I've known Mayor Kenny for years. You know, I had purposely not reached out to Mayor Kenny on this situation for my own reasons. You know, because bullshit is bullshit, and everybody know bullshit.
But right now,
You know what I mean?
Mayor Kenny and the city attorney is the very reason that my family is still victims of what's going on, because we haven't received a settlement from the city after everything I done been through. It's Mayor Kenny and the city attorney.
And who's the city attorney?
I wish I knew the city attorney name, but if somebody could look up the city attorney name of Philadelphia, that's who it is. That's who we're fighting against. So they are complicit in the act of corruption now. This is the only thing going on. The court done said that Detectives Jaskrimsky, Santiago, and Roger King framed me. The whole world know it. All you got to do is read these 3 legal opinions, and you see exactly what was done to me step by step. And what my brother is speaking to, the clothes they lied about, that they said they took from the house, the clothes disappeared. So in 2005, the Detective Jaskrimsky got on the witness stand. They asked him, well, what happened to the clothes? He says out his mouth, the cleaners threw them out. Y'all tell me right now, what evidence room in America do cleaners go to? Whether it's the FBI or police stations. That's a lie.
Cleaners.
So
Wow.
every single person in the courtroom gasped. Then the same detective took the homicide binder, right? And it has never been seen again. And when they asked him on the witness stand in 2005, what happened to the homicide binder with all the evidence of other people confessing to the crime and so on and so forth, he said, I plead the fifth because we got his John Hancock on it. This is what I'm telling y'all about. This is what I'm telling y'all about me having a hand in the cookie jar and what just went down with them not having immunity, which helps every single person in this country now.
Do these transformative laws that the Innocence Project has helped change, do they confront the corruption that we find by these public officials, like the DAs, like the judges, like any of the police officers who were complicit in this crime?
Well, that's a great question, Sway, and it's an uphill battle. You know, strangely enough, in this country, prosecutors have almost absolute immunity. It's probably the only profession we can think of where you can do anything, right? You can put an innocent guy on death row, even have him executed, and even if it's proven that you knew he was innocent before you did it, you still won't face. It's incredibly unlikely that you'll face any sanctions whatsoever. Not to mention ever looking at jail time or anything else. And there's a reverse incentive among these officials, right? Because they're trying to check boxes. They're trying to run up the score. Maybe they want to move up to a different position.
See, that's what I was. That's what was going to be my question, because a good friend of mine and coworker, Cynthia DeVise, can't make this up, 2 weeks ago, has an issue like this with her brother. And the way she was describing an innocent man, I kept thinking to myself, are these people trying to move up? It's just about score. I have the most convictions. I prosecuted the most. This judge is trying to be this. And nobody says anything. I'm sorry.
Let me give you a perfect example,
Okay.
right? The current episode, we did a re-release today on Melissa Lucio. Melissa Lucio will be executed in 13 days by the state of Texas for a crime that never happened, right? Now, her case is a perfect example. The DA who prosecuted her just because he was running for re-election and he had real problems, right? That man is serving 13 years in federal prison right now for selling verdicts, for bribing people, for taking bribes, all kinds. I mean, he was mixed up in
What's
so
his
much.
name? Do you know his name? Look it up. Get it. Because
I want
Put him on
Cynthia. I have
blast.
Cynthia too.
we got Cynthia, the woman she's talking about, is online now. But I want to say the names. We never hear the names of these corrupted, public
that's
officials.
why I say names.
Let's find it before the show is over.
Melissa's child, Melissa Lucio is the name. You can go on my Instagram and
know
learn
her story,
how to find out more about it, or listen to the podcast. Better yet, it's Wrongful Conviction, just came out today, and get involved because we have a chance to save this woman's life. Her child tragically died after a fall down the stairs, and this DA saw an opportunity to make points on a woman who had no resources to defend herself, a Hispanic woman. Her interrogation, you can see the interrogation, is brutal. She was up all night long. They kept her up. She didn't really, she didn't know what to say. she was trapped, like you were,
Yeah,
Jimmy,
yeah. Right.
and like so many people are. That's why in that interrogation room, I'm begging you, don't say anything. And one more thing I have to say, if you end up on a jury, that's the reason I did the podcast, right? I want to educate jurors so that when any of us is going to get a jury due notice, anyone who's listening to my voice right now, when are you going to get a jury? And you may end up on a criminal trial, and there may be a Jimmy Dennis or a Melissa Lucio sitting in front of you, and there are going to be a bunch of people up there telling stories that may or may not be true. And we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but that's not the way it works. And our natural instinct is to believe these officials, these people they put up there, I'm a forensic this or that or that, blah, 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 whatever the hell they are, or any of the public officials that are up there. We want to believe, we grow up believing that they're there to serve and protect us, right? And to do right and tell the truth. And let us not forget, but so when people do get on juries, I hope that they'll remember the things that they heard on the Wrongful Conviction podcast, and they will remember that you have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to do that, but they don't. And people just convict because they're tired. They want to go home.
They just say
they don't
guilty.
want to be there.
They cave, just like somebody might cave. And one more point I want to make. 29% of the people that have been proven innocent with DNA, the hundreds and hundreds of people that have been proven innocent with DNA across the country, 29% of them confessed to the crime they didn't commit. Right, and that's what they did. They basically extracted a confession that didn't even make any sense from Melissa. Right, she never admitted that.
They said she pushed a kid down the stairs. It's awful.
They got her to spank a doll in the thing. She had just endured the worst thing a parent can go through. She lost her child, a mom of all things, and she had.
It's crazy. That story is unbelievable.
We got Cynthia, your
Cynthia
friend.
DeVise, my coworker. She's an educator.
Yeah.
She does the Teacher Tuesdays with me on another show here at Sirius XM. And her brother is dealing with this exact issue. So I was hoping that she would call in, and she's here now.
Cynthia, say hi to Jason and Jimmy. How are you?
I'm doing great. So thank you, Sway and Heather, to Mr. Dennis and Mr. Flom. I appreciate you sharing your information and giving me time to talk about my brother. His name is DeWitt McDonald Jr. And one of the things that Heather allowed me to share on the Heather B. Live show was that on March 29th, just last month, my brother had received an immediate release from the judge in Sandusky, Ohio. And the prosecutor and the assistant attorney general, who he had connected with him, put a stay. They stopped the paperwork from going through. He's been serving 27 years. As of June, it'll be 27 years in Richmond Correctional Institution in Ohio. And he was wrongfully convicted. And actually the two men who are now out, one was out 20 years ago, one was out 2 years ago, they both say he was not there, he was not involved. But because of an issue with the prosecutor, who has been in Sandusky, Ohio for years, dealings with my brother, he got wrapped up in this. So they both had incidents where they were high-stakes gambling and women and drugs and the whole thing. But this prosecutor put DeWitt in a situation that caused him to serve 27 years and still be in prison. And then when it came to the day that he was able to be immediate release, they interrupted the paperwork so that it couldn't go through the Ohio Bureau of Computation until they got an emergency stay to keep him in. They didn't have a reason for doing it, but because of just a history of issues prior to the 27 years, they continued to keep a stay. And so we're still working to try to get him released. Like I said, he's innocent, but we are having such a difficult time. And we did at one point in time, and we still do have connections with Innocence Project in Cincinnati, Ohio, but it's been some time since we've been able to get anything new to get him out. And it's just been awful. It's been horrible. And so if there's any way, any connections of trying to figure out how we can get him released, and like Heather has said, we thought that if a judge said immediate release, and the reason why the immediate release came is because in 2015, they changed his records as far as his sentencing time. So he had 20 years to life, and then it ended up somehow changing to 36 years to life.
Damn.
And so when the judge came and said, no, it should have been 20 years to life, the prosecutor said, no, we reject that. And so they sent it to the Sixth Circuit Court. The Sixth Circuit said, yes, it should have been 20 years. We're not going to hear this. And then they moved it and took it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, we're not going to hear this. It should have been 20 years. That's what's on the initial trial docket. But so he wasn't able to get a parole hearing. They changed his sentence date and just continued to interrupt so that he's not getting his freedom. And for whatever reason, when it came to immediate release, they blocked it. And so now they're in. They took it to another court, saying that they don't want to hear what this judge has to say.
I'm sorry, Cynthia. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just looking at their expressions as you tell this story. What are your thoughts when you hear her story?
My thoughts is that I'm sorry for what her family is going through, and this speaks to corruption. Mm-hmm. This speaks to corruption, simple and plain. And this is what's wrong with the system, and this is why so many people need to listen to wrongful conviction, but this is why so many people need to get involved. Don't sit back and think that you can't help. You could sign a petition, you could reach out to Heather B. and a friend, and you could get involved. And when you lift your voices up in unison, we are a powerful people.
Yes.
We are a powerful group of people. And if we all lift our voices up and we call out actually what they doing, then we can make a difference and we can make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia, I want to say, first of all, I'm terribly sorry for what you and your family, especially your brother, is going through. Every week when I do the podcast, I think I've heard everything.
Yeah.
And then I hear the next story and I go, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
And then I hear a story like yours, and it's like, I mean, what if somebody came in from a foreign country or from another planet and heard this story? They go, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
The Supreme Court, everybody says he's supposed to go home. How is he not home? But then I can't not shout out. I mean, look, I'm working on a number of cases in Ohio right now. John Jones, an innocent man in prison on the Shaken Baby case, which Shaken Baby is nonsense. It's not real science. And Ohio is one of the most problematic states in the country. And, just to give you an example, and I want to get back to your brother, but Anthony Aponovich was on death row for over 30 years, was proven innocent with DNA, which the government said didn't exist. But then it was leaked, and the DNA came out, proved he was innocent. He was freed, and 17 months later, on a technicality, a 62-year-old man on the lawn with his grandchildren, a huge gang, group of cops comes and arrests him and puts him back on death row because they found a statute that says you have to be the one to request your DNA. No one else can request it for you. And so since they had come from an outside source,
got some evil people.
So he's proven innocent. He's back on death row just because. And by the way, they told him it didn't exist. How was he supposed to request DNA that didn't exist? Right? I mean, it's insane. So that's Ohio for you. That's just a glaring example. But we're working on changing that law so that he can be freed. But as far as your brother goes, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's the Attorney General that's blocking this in Ohio?
So what ended up happening was, the prosecutor, which is Kevin Baxter in Sandusky, Ohio, when the judge was saying, and the ministers were there, they were like, okay, we're going to get this man out of prison. And the prosecutor, who we've had a vendetta against, said, okay, I won't block this. And so what he did was he called his friend, the assistant attorney general, to stand in his place. So he didn't have to block it. He got his friend to do it.
Oh, wow.
All right. So look, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Sway to connect us or the team here to connect us offline. You and I have a conversation later, maybe, and we'll talk about it. I mean, I do a bunch of work in Ohio. I don't know whether I can help, but I can guarantee you I'll try.
That's what's up.
I think there's, pressure breaks pipes.
Indeed.
That's why we're here, you know, and this is a travesty and it needs to be fixed. Your brother needs to come home.
Cynthia, thank you for sharing your story, and then we'll make sure that Jason and Heather connect, and hopefully we get, I say we because we're going to be a part of all of us.
To Jimmy's point, it's we.
Yeah. So, okay, Cynthia, and you in our prayers, all right?
Indeed.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Love you too.
Wow. That's just what she needed to hear too. I want to try to go because we only got like a few minutes. But what I've already decided is we're gonna do this more than
Absolutely.
once.
We have to.
Have to. All right. So we got to have y'all come back.
I'm with it.
We might have to do a once a month thing or something.
Count me in.
Okay.
Count me in. I'm in.
Yes. We got the R&B. We got to have them up. We got to perform too, though.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with that.
I don't know about that, Heather. We might have went too far with that one. We got Jay from PA on the line. Jay, rise and shine.
Hey, Jay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey, this is crazy because this hits home for me because I personally knew Chedell. I used to go to school with her, and we used to catch the bus in the morning at that same train station. So the crazy thing is how a story that big that made national news, how they could mess up the case and bungle the case is mind-blowing to me.
And allow the actual perpetrator to remain free. Let's not forget, every time if a crime was committed, violent crime was committed,
right,
and they arrest and prosecute and persecute and frame the person who didn't do it, the actual perpetrator remains free. And we know from experience that many times more victims are left in that person's wake.
And this is where the fraud comes in that, because you can see the corrupt, evil prosecutor by the name of Roger King on TV telling the citizens of Philadelphia he knows who the other two people are, right? And he was coming to arrest them, and nobody else ever got arrested for this crime, period, point blank.
Let me ask you this, Jay, because Chedell Ray Williams doesn't have necessarily a voice. What can you tell us? Who was Chedell Ray Williams the way you knew her? Who was she as a person?
In school, she went to Army with us. She was thorough, as we would say back in our day. She was fun. She loved everybody. She loved life. You know, she was fly as hell. You know what I mean? You could say that. She was dressed to the T. Like, everybody loved her. Everybody was cool with her. We just had a good time. And the crazy thing is, my sister wound up getting robbed at gunpoint at the same train station like 6 months later. So evidently, the cops ain't do nothing about the whole situation down there in the area.
Wow. And let me just say this. This is what the system did. They destroyed two families, not one. They destroyed their family because they compounded the lie, right? And now you see 30 years later, Mayor Kinney and the city attorney is still going along and being complicit in the act of corruption by trying to protect these two police officers, right? Now they want to take a step back, so they fired the attorneys that they had representing the police, and now they trying to shun them to act like they don't do. Y'all still are complicit in the act, because every single mayor, while these police officers were allowed to continue, because you got to remember, these are the same police officers that did the same thing to Anthony Wright, innocent man, right? And they did it to Chester Holman, right? And so this is the city of Philadelphia. I got innocent dudes that I advocate for right now. Abdul Hardy, Ralph Stokes, Anthony Reed. And Anthony Reed has a book out, a poetry book out right now that I'm gonna put you down with, right? Yeah. So, you know, this is Philadelphia. Philadelphia is corrupt, right? Seth Williams, the very prosecutor that presided over this case after Roger King and them, I came home May 13, 2017. Seth Williams went to prison 6 months later.
For corruption.
The DA.
For corruption, right? This is real life stuff that we talking about.
This
today.
ain't Law and Order. This is real life stuff.
Every single thing that I say fact. Just like the August 23rd, 2016 legal opinion, that is the legal standard in this country. So 9 times out of 10, when y'all see innocent people coming home, they are coming home because they filed the James A. Dennis case, dealing with innocence and dealing with what you call a Brady violation, meaning that, you know, everything that the police and the DA have, they supposed to turn over. You can't just pick willy-nilly what you want to give and so on and so forth.
You got to turn over everything.
So I fixed that. So when you see innocent people coming home, 9 times out of 10, they coming home because your boy.
There you go. Jimmy Dennis, man, put in that work. We unfortunately only have so much time, right? We got a few minutes left. But I want to thank you, Jimmy Dennis, your family.
Yes.
Your brother, Greg. I want to thank you, your daughters, right? Their mom, any and everybody that's around you. Because not only are you doing the work, when you did the time, they had to do the time.
Yeah, that's fact. And if I can, just real quick, I just want to say I have a wonderful support system. I have a wonderful lady by the name of Corby. She is my rock. I have my daughters, Fatima and Kiara. I have 3 childhood friends that stand by me and have been a support system for me. Kas, Ski, Quadir, Abdul, my little brother that's here with me now.
Mark?
Mark, that's right. And Gwen Jackson, who runs my music and everything, and Daryl Piano Man, Marshall, Michael Boykins, Richard Wilder, Lamar Alexander. All these people are music people, and they just, as soon as I wanted to come back home and jump into it, got back into it. But your support system is important. My sister Hope, my mom, everybody that's around me that just shows me unconditional love and support, because coming home living with PTSD is not easy, because I still go through nightmares every night. I still be fighting in my sleep, reliving being jumped in prison, so on and so forth, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just want to say thank you to all of them.
Man,
period.
absolutely. You were given days of execution, right?
Yeah, I survived 2 execution warrants where they ask you what you want to eat and where you want your last body shipped. And I would never tell them, because I wasn't going for that, because I never believed that I was going to die in there. I always believe, and I told him that I was going to come home, and I told him what I was going to accomplish and what I was going to do. And I'm not done yet.
There you go. Let me give that man a round of applause. Jay and PA, who knew Chedell Williams, thank you for sharing with us that story and your relationship with her. We appreciate you, bro.
Yes.
And
you're a citizen.
And
Of Sway in the Morning.
And just real quick, I'd just like to thank my manager, Consuela Colston, who's here with me right now.
Consuela's hype for you. When we played that song, she started doing the nay-nay.
I just signed with her a little while ago, and we got some great things that we doing, Soho Muse and all like that. But I also want to thank Jason, because Jason is the type of person. Jason is the type of person that ever since I come home, that's all he do is think about Jimmy. Straight up and down. He will call me at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yo, what you think about this? I got this for you, and that's how we here today.
Wow.
Because Jason was like, yo, Jimmy, the whole conversation, Jimmy. I thought we was in that movie.
guy.
What was that movie with Eddie Murphy? Jimmy. You know what? Beyonce was in it. Cadillac Records.
Cadillac Records,
Damn, no help in the room. Boy, the room went flat. Jason. I met Jason officially through Chris Redlitz, who is the founder of The Last Mile, which I'm a board member of, and we go into these prison systems and teach folks who want to learn how to code, alongside MC Hammer and others. I'm trying to get Wallow to be a part of it as well. Wallow's incredible. I love what he's doing. He's incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
Jason, thank you for this work you're doing for our communities. There's no reward in it other than hopefully you get people free, and the laws changed. But he's not making $1. I'm sure he sacrificed a lot of his own personal resources all the time. I could tell in his conversation. Thank you, and for Wrongful Conviction, the podcast is incredible. I sit and listen and go, damn, it ain't easy taking in all this energy. All of these families, all of these folks that's going through this hardship. This is real life hardship.
That's what I told him last night.
Yeah, and you've been absorbing all of this energy. So I want to make sure you taking care of yourself as you do it, that you're eating healthy, that you're spiritually grounded. You know what I mean? Hopefully you got a great support system too. But now you got family that's rocking with you.
Yes.
You got more resources. So let's keep promoting Wrongful Conviction with Stitcher and Pandora.
And y'all can check out the Jimmy Dennis episode with me and Jason.
Yeah, Jimmy was number 97. We're up to 253 now, and we're going to keep telling these stories. Unfortunately, we're never going to run out of these stories.
Not
and
at
I
all.
want to shout out just some of the innocent people that we've interviewed. I've been down to death row in Texas a couple times. I'm going back I think back in June. But we interviewed Rob Will down there, an innocent man in prison. He's been on the show. Rodney Reed. I was down there visiting him. Rodney's a sensational guy. I mean, and again, he survived an execution date already. There's so many innocent people in prisons. I'm just going to talk about death row. Tyrone Nolding in Ohio. Innocent as could be. I mean, anybody here had as much to do with that crime as he did. And it's a travesty that we keep these people. Kevin Cooper in California, very famous case. I mean, there's too many to talk about here. I'm glad that Jimmy shouted out some of the ones, but we're going to keep fighting for these people until they come home, because to Forrest Johnson down in the Deep South, there's an Alabama case. Insane. A case where there's been dozens of former prosecutors, even former AGs, who have said that this guy ain't the guy.
Yeah.
How about Richard Glossop and Julius Jones? In
Julius
Oklahoma?
Jones, yeah.
Richard Glossop. I mean, this guy is so innocent. It's absolutely outrageous. And he's been in the execution chamber 3 times. And they got last minute stays 3 times. What the hell does that do to a person? And yet you can hear him on my podcast, and he talks about, I won't let them steal my joy. I still dance in my cell. I sing. I write
That's
poetry. I do, I make paintings. I mean, his spirit is intact after almost as long as you. He's been in about 25 years and survived 3. So we got to abolish the death penalty. I can't leave that alone. There's no, and if anybody, I'm sure the people listening who are still in favor of the death penalty, I would just ask, what percentage of innocent people is it okay to execute? Right now, Brian Stevenson says, it's a great Brian Stevenson, a hero of mine and so many people. He says about 1 in 10 people are innocent on death row. I believe it could be higher than that. You look at the state of Florida, where they've executed 99 people, while 31 have been exonerated from death row, and we know they've executed innocent people in Florida, like Jesse Tafaro and others. So, look, I could talk all day. We don't have all day.
Right.
But give out your information too. Give out your information so people want to find it. Where can they find a podcast? How can they get down with the Innocence Project?
Yeah, please. I would love to. And first of all, I want to shout you out, Sway, because
thank you for
giving us this platform is so meaningful. We can save lives this way. So my the podcast again is Wrongful Conviction on Stitcher and Sirius. You can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, etc. It's everywhere. And for socials, it's Jason Flom, ITS Jason Flom, Instagram and TikTok. And if you're out there, if somebody's out there has a loved one, or someone's even listening who's incarcerated for a crime they didn't commit, we're coming for you.
There you go.